It's your boy Sandy and Santi. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a contemporary visual artist, creative director of Insanity Art. And yeah, today I'm starting a show basically. The moral of the story is I've got a lot of ranting to do, a lot of talks to do. I had a lot of conversation. So this came about. I had a lot of conversation with a lot of different people, especially about the Banksy artwork that was posted down the road. By the way, that's next to my mural. If you're ever in the area, go check that out. We've also got a basketball court in the area, lit stuff. But having said that, yeah. So I posted when that came up, and I got into a few conversations with different people about Banksy himself, street art, graffiti art, Salva Kansu, and of course some of the other elements that go hand in hand with the actual news article or the person taking the artwork, and even the words using has stolen. And that's kind of what inspired this. So I figured instead of going on Instagram and doing a quick rant, I would go put together a show and talk about art, because I feel like there's a space to speak about art mainly. I feel like a lot of people that I've seen talk about art are either of the high end space, so it's exclusive or excluding some of the regular everyday people. And at the same time, I feel like those of the regular everyday people that do decide to talk about art, sometimes it just lacks a certain level of depth in the conversation. So I figured I'll be the person to come around, even though I'm still a practicing artist, which would be tricky over time. We're going to have to figure out a way to maintain being an artist while being an art critic at some sort. But yeah, so yeah, the show is basically formatted into different sections. We're going to talk about, so for the first show, I'm going to talk about this year, for example, some of the really, really cool exhibitions that we had. Exhibitions that I think are worth talking about because they were lit. Some of them were even more than lit. They were like moments, so to speak. And exhibitions I'm excited for 2024. You feel me? Those that know. And of course, I'm going to talk about my take in regards to the Banksy walk and all of that. And just like elaborate a little bit more. Talk about how do I say, the artist role in the world, talk about just all the different factors that are involved in, I guess, art, being an artist, being a famous artist, in a very politically charged world with all the nonsense going on around. So yeah, here we go. Starting off, where's my phone? I would say it's been a good year. I'll talk about myself actually. Starting off with myself, I managed to do a lot of cool art projects that I've always wanted to. I just spoke about it earlier. Again, shameless plug. I've got a mural down the road. If you're ever in Canberra area, go check it out. But also a basketball court, which is actually quite cool as well, right next to the mural. But I started the year with actually the basketball court. So actually, in January, I knew I wanted to do it, so I reached out to the TRA, and obviously got support from a few other people. But as a studio, because I moved to my new studio, which I'm at right now, I'm saying I'll show you guys all of that later, you feel me? But I moved over to the studio, which is local. I mean, my old studio was local, but we're not going to talk about pagan people. But in the new studio, I guess, I felt like I could do a little bit more for my area, having more control in the space and, being able to do some of the different cool things that I thought of. So I figured, why not self-commission and do a project that involves the community? And that's how it basically started. They approved of it, put some money together, and of course we did the basketball court. So I'm gonna show you that as well. Yeah, did the basketball court, which was quite cool. So that was when it was agreed on early in the year, very early in the year. Shortly after, those that came up to my workshop with Nike, that was quite cool as well. That was a moment for me as well. The conversation started sometime last year, but anyone that knows me knows I'm a Nike head. It's been for forever. So yeah, that was a cool moment for me, being able to do a workshop in Nike and like have all my pictures in there. So that was end of January. So those that came through, shout you out, boom, 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 gunshot, all of that. But yeah, more importantly, though that's probably one of my biggest highlights. One of my biggest highlights of the year, I would say. Right after that, and those that also know me personally, I don't want to give too much personal details, but those that know me personally know the other places I walk. So with that, a few of the exhibitions I'm excited about were announced, so to speak. So we started off the year with a lot of art. Also with my exhibition, with my workshop at Nike, it wasn't just myself; it was Superstar Sabina as well. So I was, excited to go around and go see her walk as well, her workshop as well, and show love as well. But yeah, that's enough about me. Basically, that's how my year started. Swiftly after, it was announced that there's going to be a very special exhibition at the Serpentine by Steve McQueen. If you know me, you know also that I pull up to Serpentine a lot. I won't tell you what I do there, but I pull up a lot. Please don't pull up there. That's, what I mean. But having said that, yeah, I'm in the Serpentine a lot, and they had the Steve McQueen exhibition, which was quite cool. What's it called? It was for me, it was an emotionally charged exhibition because the exhibition had to do a lot with the people of Grenfell and the tower blocks, and there's so much elements to talking about that, but I'll just run through a few facts about these exhibitions. But that was one of the, I think, starting of the year, that was one of the first things we dealt with in the gallery, which I thought was amazing. Because also emotional as it was, god damn it. But as emotional as it was for me, it was also important that we has people anyway, we challenge difficult topics through art. So Steve McQueen as an artist, also I got to meet him, which was quite cool. But yeah, that was a really cool exhibition, both in depth, both in terms of reaction, both in what it did for the people, in the sensitivity the gallery, Steve McQueen and everyone involved handled it. I thought that was a really cool exhibition. So starting off my year, I think that was probably the first standout exhibition for me. And then I would say, I mean, what else happened in the art world in between? There was a lot of good stories here and there, Venus there and there, but I feel the next exhibition I would actually say was really cool that started off the year was Rites of Passage at Gogosian. I think curated by Peju Oshun. I think I'm not too sure if that's her first curation in Gogosian, but I believe it is. She did a mad thing. Amazing work, amazing artist. The curation of it, the setup of it, like even having the hands come out of the wall holding the artwork in some of the rooms. I thought it was a really, really special exhibition. And in a time where a lot of, for those of you that don't know what I mean when I say curators, so to break it down, the artist's job, in my opinion, is to create good work. And curators are the ones that make exhibitions. So for those of you that don't know who a curator is the person that puts together in regards to the program, in regards to the work itself, in regards to positioning, in regards to a lot of the aesthetics that the everyday people get to experience when they go to the gallery. The curators are the ones that create that for you. So when you find an amazing curation or great curation, most times you might not realize it's good. You just realize, oh, it's a good exhibition. But when you come across bad curation, you tend to know, oh yeah, that's not really a good exhibition. So more times when an exhibition is not good, I feel it's more to do with the curators than the artists, because yeah, it's the curators that even choose which work goes into the exhibition. So just to kind of give you a brief understanding of what I mean by the how beautiful it was curated and how much curation impacts an exhibition. But Pedro did her thing. It was an amazing exhibition. Also, what other exhibitions? So this is not in any order or even how they happened. I've just written down a few of the exhibitions that I thought were really, really powerful, that really good. There was the Barbara Walker exhibition at Chris Albert, I believe, early in the year. I might be wrong, but it might have been early in the year, yes, or it would have been last year, but I believe it's early in this year. But that was a really cool exhibition. There was the Welcome Collection in plain sight. Why I think that exhibition was really important, because if you know about the Welcome Collection, the way they operate in regards to the shows they have, a lot of it has to do with medical or like the human condition or the human experience, but it goes slightly a bit away from art and go more in education and art in a lot of ways. And so for me, I learned a lot personally in my practice. I saw a lot of things that I think I was inspired by through that exhibition. They had So they had multiple ways that people could read and see things in the exhibition. They had what I found was really cool. They had these lights when you come in that help people that are visually impaired to be able to move around. They had a lot of tactile stuff that you could touch and read. They just put a lot of they brought the conversation about sight into multiple like dimensions. So how it was curated really well, in the sense that when you went there, they were seeing with your visual eye, they were seeing in regards to someone visually impaired, they were seeing in regards to information and what's true and what's not true. They were seeing in just so much dynamic regarding seeing, that I thought, oh, that's really clever, and it just made me think of curating differently. So yeah, I think that was one of the exhibitions as well that I think stood out for me as well. um what other exhibitions? There was I mean, there, some of these I'm a bit biased regarding the name. So for example, if you're Maria Abramovich and you have Marina Abramovich and you have a exhibition, automatically it almost falls into one of these categories, has an exciting exhibition to see. Just because of what you've done and how amazing you are and all the great stuff. But ultimately, I do understand that some people think that's pretentious, and you know, how good was the actual exhibition? For me, I think it's a privilege to see her work. Wow, she's still here and get living with us. So for me, every time someone like herself does an exhibition, that's always going up there. Of course, Ai Weiwei. I thought Ai Weiwei's exhibition, he's one of those as well, where you just have to put him there. So with this one is a bit, so in all honest truth, I actually kind of missed it. So I missed the exhibition, finally got in. When I say miss, I didn't miss it. I mean, I never actually had a full day of actually going in and taking the walk in. What happened was I was rushing. I think I was busy, and then I realized it's almost finished, and I rushed in, I think the couple days before it finished, and did like one of those before it closed, walk around. But quite honestly, if you're an appreciator of art, you know that's not really seeing the show. Nonetheless, it was really cool. So yeah, Ai Weiwei at the Design Museum. We had, yeah, this one's a really, 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 really cool one. And to be honest, actually, one of, if I had to rank this, I would have to put it in my top 5. But Lagos to Peckham pilgrimage, repeat at South London Gallery. I think well done to South London Gallery. Why that exhibition was so special, it has multiple components in regards to relating to the local community and like tapping into your surroundings. But also it was an exhibition that did have tales and talked about different things, and really great walk as well, because I mean, they brought the great Yinka Shoni Barrett to Peckham, which is cool, but like they had really powerful walk, which is, you know, there was a walk with Adeyemi, I've forgotten his first name, but he's an amazing filmmaker as well. He had the film with his mom on a horse, after she was laid off, and I think he created a film during COVID. He's from Peckham as well, which was quite cool, because he's like from Peckham, doing an exhibition about Nigeria and Peckham, and you know, being Yoruba. It was amazing. So everyone that went to the exhibition would probably attest to it. It was a really good show. Those that missed it, you know, it'd be like that, isn't it? So yeah, you feel me? But yeah, having said that, yeah, and also yeah, let's not forget the boy was part of their marketing for the exhibition. So, you know what I'm saying? Young boy was in there. You feel me? But having said that, yeah, that was a cool exhibition. Lynette, I believe it might have been end of last year, but I believe it was beginning of this. Well, it was last year to this year. But Lynette's exhibition at Tate Britain, Lynette, you know, there's very few people. There's no one like Lynette, so she's special. We always love her work as well. We got to see it in person, see a lot of the different works you see online in person. So yeah, that was a special exhibition. There was also at the same time an exhibition in Tate Modern. I can't remember the name of it. I feel so bad because I should have this name prepared, but I'll probably get it somewhere. And you know, after the show anyway, I'll put reference, so where everything I'm talking about, people can actually search it up. That's a good way to keep balance anyway, because a lot of my talk will be opinion based. So if you guys want to come and beat me up, you can at least check the facts and then beat me up after of my opinion. But yeah, that's by the way. But yeah, so there was another Tate exhibition. It was about a photography exhibition, I believe. Even there was another one too where Bobby was a collaborator. I know they're doing one right now, but I'm not talking about the one right now. I'm talking about end of last year, early this year. But anyway, yeah, that was a really cool one. Then we have in my list here, I've got Like Paradise, um, the amazing curator, the man, the myth. Let me talk about curating for a second. Actually, one of the really cool things about when you come across a really good curator, this is in no shade or in no way disrespect. I didn't study curating. Hell, I didn't study art. I barely should be talking how I'm talking, but this is my opinion. But the reality is, my opinion, when you the general standard right now in 2023 going on 2024 is actually poor, if you ask me. I feel the most people set up exhibitions and set up walk without the kind of idea of the reality that there's a lot of people that are going to be walking back and forth. How does this walk hand in hand with the walk next to it? Some of what I consider the basics of curating are being ignored completely. I think most of the exhibitions that happen, I hate to say it as well, in the biggest establishments, go off the name of the artist most of these days. So if it's a big artist, they just put the walk in, however, whichever, and get away with it actually most times. And so I don't think that is ultimately, maybe it's just me being extra, but I feel like those, if they were just doing a little bit more, if the curators were doing a little bit more, you have a better experience of every single exhibition you've gone to. Saying that, when you do come across people like Peju or Ekusu, or like, I mean, there's a lot of people as well with the bigger museums like, Serpentine and Tate and all of them. I'm just trying to skip names so that I don't have to call everyone's name I know. But having said that, because I mentioned these two people, Peju and Ekusu. So Ekusu was the one that curated Black Fantastic at Somerset House last year. And if you came across that exhibition, you will understand why I'm so passionate about him and his work. He's amazing, absolutely flawless. His topics, his choice of walks that go in. I've had a chance to talk to him as well as a person. He's amazing, humble, accessible. I don't know. I have a lot of good things to say about him and his work, but he's a really, really good curator. So like Paradise was a really cool exhibition. And also, I try and not say artists' names that I know personally and whatnot, so that I don't have to say everyone's name I know. But yeah, there was also some really cool artists I got to meet later that were part of that show. Some people I'm a big fan of actually. But yeah, Like Paradise, I think was a good concept, beautifully curated, amazing walk. That was one of those. And if there was an award for noisemaker exhibition in terms of who shook the ground for me and whatnot and was everywhere and you couldn't really escape it, I would have to say Julian Knox as well. I would give Julian Knox a lot of credit at the Barbican, still going on. To be fair, even if you are not into art, there's a chance that you've heard the name or seen something to do with it. What I really, really love about the exhibition as well, when you read the credits and stuff, Julian Knox basically walked with everyone cool. Like, he actually walked with. I mean, going through the list, he walked with, like, we present Yinke, Lovin, like, name them, and he probably walked with them. Like, and you know what, I feel like there's even a renaissance of what I consider a new Black British art movement. I don't know, I don't want to term it that or call it that. That's because it's weird that when we want to describe a group of people, especially that if they're Black, we throw in Black. But the idea for me as well, they are Black, and is a factor part of why I think is amazing between the Julian Knox of the worlds, of the Gabriel Moses, or the Yinka Lawrence, or there's a few of them, and it's quite great to actually see them on the ground, hang out with each other, and all of that good stuff as well. Samuel Ross as well. Like there's a lot of. I mean, it's what a time to be alive. There's a lot of. I feel like if I was much younger, there's a lot of people to look up to. Which is quite cool as well. Which brings me to the next person I'm going to talk about, Yinka Shonibaro. So he had his exhibition. these are the exhibitions I went to. It's so interesting because I've got to talk about it as exhibitions I went to, because he's always exhibiting and he's always got work everywhere. And yeah, when he does exhibit somewhere, it's, it's a movement. And that's why he's my favorite. One of my favorite artists, not yours, but yeah, my favorite. But yeah, Yinka Shonibaro, he was basically exhibiting everywhere, but his exhibition at Steve Freeman was a standout for me. If you pretty much everything, I mean, anyone that went to Freeze, every couple minutes you walk through, you see another thing that had to do with Yinka. That's how much he was catching the body. Yeah, but Yinka was doing his thing, which was lit. We loved that. What else would I say? I would say, I mean, to be honest, Yinka is a whole nother category. So if I'm gonna talk about him, I have to go in, or just say a little words. If not, people that know, I'll be here for days. Quite interesting. Most people that don't know, Yinka was the artist that made me think of art as a different thing. Because I remember being 16 and seeing his sculpture, Nelson Ship, at National Portrait Gallery, and it inspired me enough to be like, yo, this one for me as well. That was kind of a year after I'd moved back to London. So I was born here, moved to Nigeria, and I moved back to London. So a year after I moved back to London, mind you, I didn't want to come back to London, to be honest. I was loving my life in Nigeria. Everything was good. But anyway, came back to London, and I remember at the time I was still adjusting. My accent was still adjusting back from my Nigerian accent to the London accent. Also adjusting because it was a thing that you had to do at this time. It wasn't. So to put in perspective, for those that actually know the time that I'm talking about, this was the time that even people that were African were half Jamaican, if you know what I'm talking about. So we had just graduated from just being insulted for being African to like now it's funny that you're African. So this is when people say oh, and like, but shout out people like Eddie Cardi and like people like T-Boy. In a lot of ways they were like, it's better to laugh than to kind of insult or bully people. Quite honestly, also, I don't really feel like I was directly affected by this, but obviously because I am Nigerian and I just came from Nigeria, just being in that position and seeing how things are walking around you. Also, I'm still homesick as well. So basically, to keep a long story short, when I did discover about Yinka, or how I did discover about Yinka, was one of those days, because I used to also try and 1-2-1-2 dance, you know me, dancer people. But yeah, having said that, we went to Trocadero to do practice. Also, if you're from that time, you know what people was going to Trocadero to do. It was that time, you feel me? But yeah, we went Trocadero, and I remember, like, even though obviously Peckham, that's what we're repping, that's where I'm from. So my thing is, I'm not really feeling no type of way to go to this place. I've gone there all excited, young boy. And on my way back, actually, for some reason, we went through the other side. So in front of National Portrait Gallery, I was just stopped in my tracks. I basically was like, wow, what's this? I saw the Nelson Ship, the sculpture he did, where it had a Ankara material inside. Now, what's interesting is, if you know about that particular, it's called Dutch wax. It's kind of as a style of clothing that's kind of created using a format, I guess, developed by the Portuguese, or is it the Dutch people? So yeah, the Dutch people, I believe. And in a way, it's identity for a lot of us in Nigeria or a lot of African countries, because we just think of that as African cloth material. And in a way, when you go back and do the study, which I didn't know at the time, but later I found out Jinka's purpose, or the reason why he chose to use that, how it represents like the international of it is like the fact that it's from this people, but it's also from this people, and it's of this people while it might be from this people. I found it very interesting, like using fashion to tell that story. And even if you look at how his work goes on, like, I'll get into all of that later. But the point is, at that young age, me being homesick and all of those things I just described, being in the middle of London, or should I say central London, and just looking up and seeing a sculpture that has that material that you identify with being Nigerian and yourself, it did stop me in my track enough to be like, whoa, what's this, And at that time, I was still relatively new to the idea of what art is, let alone artist is, i.e. I didn't know a Picasso work. and a Picasso. Like I was that far away from art. I didn't know Cubism was a style of art, if that makes sense. I couldn't tell you the name of anything. I just knew that, oh yeah, I like art here and there. I draw all the time. The 16-year-old me. But I remember like Yinka's walk made me actually think, what is art? And, how can one's identity be transferred into art, and like how that kind of like shows in the creativity, in the appreciation of it, the impact it had on me looking at it. And you can argue that these are one of the things that actually made me choose to become an artist later in life. But having said that, I just want to put more perspective, like just to give you the depth of why Yinka means so much to me and means so much to so many people. But I remember just feeling like, oh my god, this is quite interesting, like the idea of it being international and even his practice as well. So what's interesting is you can almost argue that what he does with his work is by just using Ankara material formatted into like these Victorian style dresses or ombulants that kind of show rich English heritage, kind of by putting those material to create these dresses and all of that, it automatically takes you to a time and period. It almost takes you back to pre-independence Nigeria, or the colonial Nigeria, or that relationship it had. And it's interesting because also even when you look at his earlier works with the photography, he does the same thing. It's just now he doesn't need to put like a single. I even feel like his photography is more direct compared to his sculptures. While his sculptures carry a lot of play elements to it, but it has so much depth when you go into like the conversation. And he pays attention to art history in regards to how he sculptures. I can go on for days, but we'll leave Yinka for now. Just one of the exhibitions that I was really excited, and just generally in the year, what Yinka did the whole year was exciting for me. What else we got here? So Missing Threads as well was a really cool exhibition, Somerset House. I went there a couple of times. I with this one, there's not really too much to kind of like single out and talk about. It was a great exhibition all through and through. Great selection of artwork, great curation. This year, I realized that Somerset House only used part of the thing during 154. So I'm assuming that they was something, or they thought that they could also benefit from it. I would say I do like that galleries and all these establishments are actively taking a position to kind of be inclusive, not just in walking, inclusive in terms of the work that they're showing. That could be for good or for bad. We can actually talk about that on a different day, but I find it interesting, and I think it's a good step. Really, it is a good step. Because it just so happens that, to put it this way, for the most time, at least for most of maybe I've just been doing this whole art thing wrong. I feel like most of the art that has been exhibited and has been exhibited and has been exhibited. And it was like the same cycle of like, Francis Bacon, Lucian Floyd. If you get a Picasso, do another Picasso. Like, the same names over and over again. Turner, all of the greats. But which feels nothing wrong against that or bad against that, but I feel like now people have the opportunity to see a lot of great artists that are being able to exhibit in these establishments right now while they're alive. And yeah, that's really a good thing. In fact, some artists are getting to do exhibitions in different establishments that are just as big as each other, which I think is also a good thing, because sometimes it's almost like you have to pick one or the other, which I don't really think is a good thing, especially from Moss' perspective as an artist. I feel like you sometimes have dreams of wanting to do everything. So when you do have the opportunity, and if you can, you should be able to do everything, just not the same artwork. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, that was a really good exhibition. Another big shout out to Yinka Lauren. He had another good year. I think a lot of cool art that came out, a lot of cool concepts as well. Samuel Ross, another one. And Gabriel Moses. This is what I was saying. There's almost like a renaissance of like a specific kind of artists that are gathering around, or like it's just a different time right now. And I think if you're younger, there's a lot of examples and people that you can be inspired by, between the creative directors and like the designers and like the artists and all of these people. There's a lot of, you be spoiled for choice. Having said that, Gabriel Moses, Regina was last year, I believe, too. A very impressive exhibition. Was it last year? This year, sorry. This year. Impressive exhibition as well. Put together very well. I believe he did it independently. I might be wrong. But if he did, that's really cool as well, because we want to see more of that. it also had impact. So everywhere else you went, you would have seen it, you'd have heard people talk about it. Gabriel Moses is really cool because now it almost feels like he doesn't have to sign, or you don't even need to know it's him, but you can tell it's him. He has a signature to his photography, which is quite cool. Not just the shading, because I was talking about this with somebody else and they was like, oh, he just used dark shades, and it's like, for me personally, it's like more times than others now I would think somebody's doing his style if you did it in that format and that tone, because he's just like the aesthetic with it, the angling, the positioning of the people, not even just model, like, you know, we love it when they execute this way and the impact shows beyond. For me, I feel like it's generally great for the general art anyway. But yeah, shout him out also because he's Nigerian as well, and I'm saying Young Black King doing this thing. So big up, Gabriel Moses. Which other exhibitions would I say I really loved? We had the right now actually the contemporary African art photography at Tate Britain. That's all right too. I say all right like it's not a good exhibition. I mean, it's a really good exhibition too. I liked it. I have different takes, but what I'll do is with this, for the purpose of this, I just give information of what I liked. Over the time, because this would be recording a lot, I'll end up wow, what am I doing? I'll end up being able to kind of differentiate ones that we're just giving reviews on, talking about different exhibitions. And the others, but you know what I'm saying, for now we're just gonna go through these. Oh, Thomas Saraceno. Now, so Serpentine, to be honest, this year they did really, really well, and I happen to know they're going to be doing even more amazing next year with the kind of artists that we're going to have there. Just fire stuff. The Steve McQueen exhibition was heavy hitting, and right after the Steve McQueen exhibition, the Serpentine ended up having a Thomas Saraceno exhibition. Now, the Thomas Saraceno exhibition, oh my god, I almost feel like I need to talk about this almost on the review by itself. It was really, really good. For multiple reasons. He had a message, and he executed that message in multiple ways, to the point where if you came to the gallery and you were not able to get into the gallery because it was too hot, that was also doing his message. He was also executing the same message, or the moral of it, the fact that climate change is a real factor, the fact that we need to be conscious about the world we're living in. Part of the exhibition had this part where you can give in your phone in the beginning and go through the exhibition, and at the end you get your phone back. It was very interesting seeing people forget their phones and come back and get it, which in a way is also a social experiment to show, like, in the couple minutes without the phone and just watching what it is, you actually got to forget your phone. You can also talk about the elements of the fact that he had the gallery switch off all the lights, all the electricity as such, all the way from the basement, that it was powered by solar panels and bikes outside when people ride it, and it generated the light and the things that you see the movie with, or the north room where you could see the east room where you could see some of the spider webs. It generated the light for it. It just had a lot of components. It had technology, but technology used right. Also with that exhibition, I believe Thomas Saraceno Studio donated solar panels to the gallery even after the exhibition. So it talked what it said, and it said what it talked, if that makes sense. So it wasn't just preaching to people to be more eco-friendly. It actively tried to do its part as an exhibition. I'm speaking of the exhibition as a person, but yeah, because of what it represented, basically they had like these solar panels donated, which I think was quite cool. And there's so much more aspects to it. Even thinking of spider webs as art, I never actually quite thought of that until I saw it in that format. And trust me, it's some of the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen. And what's more amazing is the fact that it's collaborative, but he actually is collaborating with a spider, or with spiders. And the fact that even through the exhibition, a spider could just walk in the park and come and join in and make a web on another web that existed. Also, for the first time that I've been, like, while I've been in the Serpentine or been around, like going in there or whatnot, they had a whole, because they had a whole room opened up for dogs, where dogs could come in and go out, which I think was pretty cool. They had another room for children. The exhibition was really good. I mean, when we do personal reviews, I could talk about good and bad, but I mean, was one of my favorite exhibitions of the year. I think Thomas Saraceno as an artist is also incredible. I think humble, very approachable, really thinks of what he's doing. Has a lot of great impact. I mean, just I love Thomas Saraceno, if I'm being totally honest. They had like these cool tarot cards you could get as well, which worked as a postcard, as a gift if you left your. Yeah, I can go on for days, but really cool exhibition. We like Thomas Saraceno over here. And we had the big dogs coming. So we had like Georg Baselitz exhibition. Oh my God. You know what I mean? If you know about Georg, you know that he's one of those artists that has a lot of respect among other artists, pulls a lot of attention and command among like various levels of creatives across the world. Stubborn, mostly known for his inverted paintings, but with the exhibition at Serpentine, he had the woodworks of a lot of what later became casted into bronze sculptures. So they were never intended to show, which was quite cool because when you see them, they were untreated. It's quite raw and like, I thought very impressive because you got to see like almost feel the interconnection between the chainsaw, the artist, and the wood. So it was really cool. That was one of the special exhibitions. Yeah. So I was saying Georg Baselitz. That's one of the special things about the exhibition and like getting to see some of that work. I tried to not talk about some of the smaller exhibitions or the artists I know personally, just because I'll be here for forever and we'll be going into hella details and why I love them, and it's very biased in some sense. But big shout out to Chile Arts. I think they did well. The exhibitions with Kay and Richard Mensah, that was proper as well. I found myself falling more and more in love with Kay's work as well. He's just he's special. But also Richard Mensah, easily one of the most talented artists I know personally in life. I just like his paintings. Like, I don't know, I love it. Having said that, they were really good. Polarity Now, I mean, my G Sego, I mean, she great curator, good exhibition, loved the artists, Xavier Leopold, Leroy. There were other artists in there that was also really good. As a whole, it was a really good exhibition. I would throw our exhibition in at Omaka Gallery, the one I curated as well, Oblivion Paradox. Quality of artists, diversity, just we had about 11 artists, all of them of that quality. So I mean, it was going stupid, even just material. And if you did miss the exhibition, it happens, innit? But having said that, that was one of I think highlight exhibitions for me. I didn't actually take part in that many exhibitions last year because if you notice, I don't do that much group shows. I have a lot to say, so sometimes I try and put it all in a conversation in a way, do a solo exhibition and whatnot. But I've also not done a solo exhibition in almost 2 years, so having said that, Omaka Gallery's exhibition and Dapper Gallery also had an exhibition at Copeland Gallery. I liked it was a 2 solo. I don't want to mistake the name and get the names wrong, but they're just new artists that I just found out about just last year in his exhibition. Really good exhibition. So what's it called? I'm gonna put all of the details as well. Some maybe at the end put reference so that everybody can look at some of the things I'm talking about, kind of like I was saying. Dapper Gallery's exhibitions were fire. And art fairs, Freeze. Now Freeze was cool. Freeze was like what you expect from Freeze a bit. I don't know, I'm always mixed feelings about Freeze. But first and first, big shout out to Material and all the other people that I know that caught bodies out in Freeze, you know what I mean? Sold out boys, you know what I mean? That's, what I'm saying. We love all of that. So, I love this year's Freeze particularly because there were people I know personally that, you know what I mean, did their thing. I think it was more diverse. I think there were more new galleries in, or there was just more of a diversity and range of artwork being shown. I like that every couple meters of walking, you're gonna see a Yinka Shinibaru's walk, which for me, in my opinion, is like Yinka wins. That's me. You know what I mean? I see myself so much in his walk that I get excited every time. But the idea is, it was quite cool because yeah, he was just everywhere, and you could tell that he's there. I also got to see a lot of old friends, walks from like Barbara Chase Wibu. We exhibited in Town with Barbara, which was quite cool as well. What else? What else? Thomas Saraceno as well. So 1212. I saw a lot of most of the artists, some of the artists that I really liked that I had just recently found out about through walking at Serpentine and whatnot. So that was quite cool. And then I went to right after the freeze. We went to also I saw a lot of old like collectors, friends, people like that. So it was a cool little moment. But right after that, I ended up going to 154. So 154 was interesting. Actually, I would say 154 would have been, in my opinion, slightly better than this year's freeze. Just the quality of work. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that you just can't buy tickets for like the VIP opening, or I might be wrong. But yeah, I know that it just feels like there's more freedom of walking. There's more people that care about the art or are there because of the art, and it just feels like more of that going on in 154 than I guess Freeze also felt a bit more like let's try and sell products here, like a fair to sell products, which is not always a bad thing, but yeah. But having said that, I feel like with 154, the art, I mean, for me personally, I liked it. Now, the art was cool. I mean, it was less spaces occupied. Free Nando's, big up yourselves. You feel me? That was cool. But also I really liked, I got to meet a lot of artists I really, really liked. So I'm a big fan of Ken. I've been following his work from way back. So it was quite cool to meet him in person, even though I actually helped curate one of his exhibitions when I was working at Brick Lane Gallery years ago. But basically the week I came in, that's the week he left. That's the week of the show. So I never actually got to, the day that he came to pick his walk, I was gone. The day that I started was the day they dropped the walk in. So I came slightly later. So I basically missed part of the setup, and so I didn't get to meet him in person. And so this year was the first time I got to meet him in person, and which was quite cool because it's like even though I'm an artist myself, I'm still a fan of some artists, like and genuine fan. So I get excited when I meet artists I like, and I want to talk to them about their process and their practice and all the other little details that goes with their work, or what creates their work, should I say. So that was really cool. Also got to meet Ayo Kingsley. Great energy. Only spoke very briefly, but my guy, what I mean? We're Nigerian, so every time we meet as well, it's big energy vibe. So, but yeah, got to see him as well. Walk even more amazing than he looks in picture, in person, should I say? So that was cool. Obviously, I was hanging out. 154 is interesting because it's like it reminds me that London's my city in regards to the fact that I meet so many people every time, and everyone that I know, and all the different galleries here and people I know in the gallery. So that's cool. I do get to enjoy running around 154. Even though I remember I was very tired at the end, but I did end up still going to an after party because sometimes you just get drawn into it. But yeah. But yeah, it was a cool one. I mean, me and my boy Xavier Leopold was around. I keep mentioning the full name, so you actually go look him up. He's an amazing artist as well. Big fan, big fan. I think I'll talk about a lot of artworks that I'm a fan of more than what I don't like in the show. Having said that, when I do talk about what I don't like, you understand the passion. Having said that, yeah, that was a good experience. I would say 154 this year was good. And yeah, getting to hang out with all my people too, that was cool. And now that we're done talking about exhibitions from this year, I would say big up all the artists that just did stuff outside the galleries also that were doing well. So people like Sloan, like I said, Yinka Lauren, and they did a lot of big moves as well within the art. Even though the show also, disclaimer, this is not kind of designed to just give people flowers. It's actually more like criticizing things. This just happens to be the first show, and because we're in the last day of the year, I'm doing a lot of reviews, so that's why it comes across this way. And yeah, so we'll talk about next year. Like I said, I'm looking forward to exhibitions. Now, this will sound very biased, but maybe it's also because I'm limited in knowledge about what else is going on. Having said that, I am excited for Barbara Kruger's exhibition. Now, if you know Barbara Kruger, then you know what I'm saying there's a reason to be excited. And if you don't know her, let me put it this way: Supreme doesn't exist without Barbara Kruger. So, for all of you hype, kids, and you got into fashion and you're a streetwear guy and whatnot, skateboard, all of that, you should know about Barbara Kruger. Not saying that she's the direct link between Supreme and all of that, because I know how you people are. But having said that, the design and the understanding, the aesthetic that you associate with Supreme directly comes from her in a lot of ways. So yeah, she would be exhibiting. We can't wait for that. We also have a Fika Node. I'm excited for that one too. And obviously we got the big boss, you know what I mean? OG, boss man, you know what I mean? Top dog. You know what I mean? We got the Yinka exhibition as well. I'm excited for next year. That one should be a very, very big one. You know what I mean? For multiple reasons. I feel like, I'm going to stop because this is not really also just to talk about my love for Yinka. But having said that, it's really gonna be one of those exhibitions. I feel his exhibition in an establishment should have been way overdue. In the sense, like, he's exhibited multiple times, always exhibiting actually, but like in a certain level of establishment, I think this is one of the few times that it's happened or recently happening. So yeah, he deserves all these flowers. I think he's a moment in culture. That's my guy. So yeah, excited for that exhibition. I haven't done a solo in almost 2 years, and I got a good exhibition coming up. If I might say so myself, it's called Great News. Actually, I didn't say that, but I'm going to tell you what it's about. It's a Great News exhibition, and yeah, it should be cool. I also know a lot of personal people. I don't know if I can even share that information, like artist wise. So just say that there's a lot of solo exhibitions as well coming from people I know, which I'm excited for, and I would probably review at some point in the show, or talk about it at the end of the year next year. So yeah.